Welcome back, and with some further demand on how to solve trig identities when you have algebra and factoring involved. This seems the most common problem that many students have is how do you solve trig identity when you have fractions, when you have like squares and the fourth power and whatnot involved. So we're going to do one thing, or we're going to go through these two problems of how to simplify these trigonometric expressions. All right, so first off, I've said this in every single video, remember your algebra. Okay, algebra is king. All right, put a little crown there. Algebra is king. Make sure you're good algebra students because this will help you a lot. All right, going forward. So, and also make sure you know your trig identities. So, first off, what we have is this. All right, we're going to start with number 9. What we have is cosine squared x minus 4 and cosine x minus 2. Well, notice that we have cosine squared x minus 4. This is the same thing, or very similar thing, as if we would have like y squared minus 4 over, all right, y minus 2. That's a 4, by the way. All right, that's a y. I know my 4s and y's look very, very similar. That's a y. Now, what you do in a normal algebra situation is you have a, all right, difference of squares. So what we're going to do is we're just going to factor that. We would go y minus 2, and then we go y plus 2, and you would realize that, hey, wow, these y minus 2's, they cancel out, and you're left with y plus 2 as your final simplified answer. Well, guess what? It's the same thing we're going to do right here. Is right here we see cosine, this is squared of x minus 4. All right, difference of squares. So we're going to take right here cosine of x minus 2. And this is going to turn into cosine of x plus 2. Very similar. Cosine is like y. We got on top. And then we have cosine of x minus 2. And what do you know? Boo, boo. We cancel out. And we're left with our simplified answer of cosine of x plus 2. And that is it. And that's it. Yeah. Once again, algebra is king. All right. So moving on, let's try this one. Once again, very, very similar. If you're a good algebra student, we have this right here. We could rearrange this, okay, and write it as cosine to the 4th power of x. And it's going to be minus 2 cosine squared of x. All right, and that's going to be plus 1. This might be similar, once again. If we had y to the 4th, okay, minus 2y squared plus 1. If you were in Algebra 2 or pre-calculus or advanced algebra, whatever you call it, once again, this is a, all right, in quadratic form. We could simplify this as y squared minus 1 times y squared plus 1. All right, and we could FOIL this then and go in, we could have this y squared minus 1 and simplify that even farther if we wanted to, but we have our different expressions. All right, but that's exactly what we're going to do here as well. And so what we have here is we're going to start here and we're going to factor this through. Instead of having y, we're going to have cosine. So this is actually going to be cosine, right? The quantity cosine squared of x minus 1 times cosine of x, or squared of x plus 1. And that's what we have. Now from here, we have to know our fundamental trig identities because this is one of our one of these is probably one that we can help out and simplify and get rid of. So both of these cosines, right, we might be able to simplify because we know sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x equals 1. We know that if we have this right here, if I factor out if I have cosine, I can know that sine squared of x, all right, equals 1 minus cosine squared of x. That's kind of like that. So if I factor out a negative 1 here, all right, out of this one, I could have 1 minus cosine squared of x right there. And this one right here, I could probably say, all right, cosine, I could probably maybe also put in whatever cosine is. All right, I'm going to move this down a little bit. All right, so I'm just kind of throwing different things in here. So we also know that cosine squared of x using the same trig identity is equal to 1, all right, minus sine squared of x. So using that, we know that this portion, okay, we're rearranging it, bring out the negative, can turn it into sine, all right, that turns into sine. So I'm going to put sine squared of x, that's going to be negative. And right here, I'm going to actually plug in this. I'm going to go 1 minus sine squared. I don't know if that really helps us out very much. No, probably not. Yeah, well, I'll do it anyway. All right, sine squared of x plus 1. All right, and what we have then is, all right, we can kind of distribute it through if we wanted to, or keep it what we have. Add those together, so we have negative sine squared of x. It's going to go plus 2. I think that's pretty much as far as we can go. I'm not really seeing anything else that like strikes my fancy. If I want to distribute that sine through, I don't know if that makes it less simplified or more simplified. I don't know. All right, but we have sine to the 4th x. It's going to be minus 2 sine squared of x, and I guess we probably could just keep it like that and call it a day. Yeah. So once again, factoring this does create some expressions. All right, what we have right here is going to allow us to use our fundamental Trig identity to simplify, but factoring this through and doing this. Oh, that's what I screwed up on. Uh-oh. Bad algebra, bad algebra, bad algebra. Probably did a bad algebra up here too. Minus, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Wish somebody was in my class who could stop me doing this crazy stuff. That should be minus because that is a perfect square, right? That should be a minus right there. It should be a minus right here. Oh my goodness gracious. No wonder. Okay, oopsies. All right, the same thing for both of these, right? All right, because when we have this cosine, then we have negative 2. Yeah, oh no, no, no. Oh boy. I'm sorry for those that are watching this and saying, oh, this guy doesn't even know how to do his algebra. Algebra is king and I don't even know how to do it. All right, sorry. Just caught myself. Oh man. So what we have right here is those two actually become cosine squared of x minus 1 that quantity squared. Perfect square. Oh man, that'll be y squared minus 1 that quantity squared. Perfect square. What do you know? Once again, this we already know is we can factor out a negative 1, right? Factor out a negative 1. And we have 1 minus cosine squared of x. And still that's quantity is going to be squared. So this right here, we know it's going to turn into sine squared. So we have is negative 1 squared is 1. And it's going to turn to sine squared. So sine squared of x squared, which turns to be sine the 4th x. And that is going to be our final answer. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Wasted all that time. Bad algebra. Hopefully people caught that. I'm sorry. All right, but that's what we have right there. Okay. All right, so once again, algebra is king. Make sure you do it right. Yep, even the best screw up once in a while. All right, I'm not even saying I'm the best, but that's what we got right there. So hopefully this helps you out. It's always good to learn from your mistakes. Going through here, once again, algebra, going through, make sure you find your perfect squares and simplifying that way. All right, good luck and God bless in the rest of your problems.